Hi, I'm Ruth Clarke, one of the translators of Europa 28, the anthology of writing by women on the future of Europe, published by Comma Press. I'm going to be reading from my translation of the Italian piece by Silvia Bencivelli called No Science, No Future. It is absurd to find yourself in this position, hoping that other European countries will not follow in our footsteps, and that in the hope of a quick U-turn in Italian politics, Europe will stay strong and look to a future that cannot be built without a culture of science. My proposal for restoring hope in a more optimistic Europe is, in the meantime, to go back to the beginning, to teach our children differently, while still instilling curiosity and pride in being European. I would suggest that we teach them history, geography, and languages from all over the planet, not just our continent. We need to make children understand that here today, our lives are much easier than in many places around the world. However, we shouldn't be complacent or see this as our reward. Instead, it is a duty for them and for the previous generation to defend our shared European history and cultural roots. Roots that have blossomed thanks to influences from the rest of the world. Just as Fibonacci did in the 13th century, when he popularized Arabic arithmetic across the Western world. Because it's no longer enough to try to get to know your neighbor. We can't keep taking for granted our cultural, scientific, or even economic position. And the only way we can achieve this is by continuing to be open to interactions with others in order to experience mutual enrichment. Lastly, and more pragmatically, I think there is an urgent need to talk to adults of my generation. Investing in the future means doing what we've done in the past, focusing on science and research, encouraging young people to ask questions and spend their lives studying the answers, putting them in a position to do so without having to make sacrifices. Nowadays, Italian children know that it will be hard to make a living as a scientific researcher. Study grants have reduced, and funding bodies now reward perseverance and loyalty to those in charge over merit. Some areas are still functioning very well: blue sky research in physics, cosmology, and certain sectors of biology, in no small part thanks to European grants, such as those bearing the ERC stamp. But for many other young scientists, staying at university or finding a public research post is a dream, and anyone who does manage to make it happen knows immediately that it will mean living on low wages with no job security or guaranteed funding. Only the most stubborn will survive, those with fewer family ties who can leave their hometown more easily, and those with the greatest financial privilege. Unfortunately, that tends to mean that those who survive are ambitious men with strong families behind them. This also results in universities being ever more elitist and dominated by the usual suspects, with the only real prospect of change to be found on happy islands of outstanding research. Underfunded science that excludes marginalized individuals is also a science that struggles to make itself useful and to listen to the needs of the wider community. Yet we have an urgent need for science, especially in the field of ecology, and a huge responsibility as Europeans. We were the first to exploit the planet's resources and to pollute it with no thought for the future. But climate knows no borders. Now it's up to us to be the first to propose solutions that give everyone on Earth the same opportunities to grow and to be happy that we experienced and created for ourselves. And these same opportunities must be guaranteed immediately for future generations. What is at stake here is not only peace for us in Europe, but peace for the entire planet.